Hello and welcome to PlotPoints Crazy Theories, where maybe they're crazy. I don't know. They seem pretty sane to me, pretty logical. Anyways, as promised, I have a lot to talk about this week. Oh God, I have so much. It's so fun. Oh, dragons, 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 dragons. So, you're obviously wondering, what can you tell me about dragons from the small amount that they've showed us? So much. This episode also gave me the great realization about what the hell is going on in Equestria with all the magical creatures. You see, being as Equestria is a mostly magical-based world, the entirety of all cells and such are not made out of acids and proteins. Guess what they're made out of? Magic! Instead of DNA strands and strings, they have gigantic ruin circles on very, very small scales, of course. That explains a lot of creature stuff. Like, dragons grow as they gain objects, which would explain why. It explains that with the whole ruin idea, because as they gain objects, the objects communicate an idea to the little ruins, which activate certain spells, which causes the dragons to grow. As we've all seen, growth magic exists. Therefore, it makes complete sense. Which also explains why dragons grow all differently at the beginning, but all end up in the same base form. Except for Crackle. Yeah, Crackle must have a ruin or two in some weird place. Yeah. So, anyways, the reason they're all skewed up and messed up as teenage dragons is because they've achieved certain necessities in order to grow certain parts, this much, that much. It's also why they do all these belching contests, pool drops, and such. As they gain honors, the honors count as possessions, which causes them to grow. So instead of, getting a massive horde and growing up to be giant, they can just, get honors, fight people, such not. Um, This also explains the Phoenix Fire stuff. Yeah, various adaptations and all kinds of things. Poison joke. Various spells are activated when conditions are met. Such as when the Phoenix chooses to, it can activate the revivification process. Which I suppose is one of the giant spell circles. Or it can, activate the flames, or its solar flare attack. Poison Joke can cause various effects depending on the cells it's introduced to. It combines into a various rune pattern with the owner of it. So such not and such what. Ruins as cells and such. Yes, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. We also learn much about the heat resistance of dragons, and also of ponies, which I imagine is an extension of pony magic resistance. I imagine ponies have the highest magic resistance of almost any creature in Equestria. Um, I imagine that they don't get much heat transferred to them. All the scenes where they're exposed to heat, it's only for a couple of seconds. So, let's say maybe 2,000 degrees, and I'd put Pony. And, most dragon fire is magical, so that takes about half that. And I could say Pony could probably take 1,000 degrees for a couple of seconds. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure about the exact heat exchange here, but it doesn't seem like a gigantic fire breath from a dragon should kill a pony. And dragons can obviously survive the heat of molten lava, so they're pretty damn tough. Well, at least heat resistant anyways. Also, this episode, we learn more about phoenixes. They can reproduce apparently, and they can do the whole revival thing. So that means phoenixes have a pretty stable population, which means it may be phoenix season, and albeit I don't quite believe this, but smashing a couple of eggs may actually be better for the whole entire environment, because A, phoenixes don't die, and B, they had about 6 kids there, which means, let's say the entirety of, let's say all of the phoenixes got together. That's maybe 3 dragons, 3 eggs smashed, which means 3 phoenixes, which means one more to the numbers, even if the the mother and the father phoenix, were somehow eaten or something. So, ecology should be considered in the whole phoenix egg smash dilemma. Perhaps the phoenixes are encroaching on dragon territory and eating their prey. Such must be considered in the whole life of an ecologist. Or whatever the person who studies food chains is called.
Ecologist.
Yeah, I said ecologist. I was just making sure, because I'm not quite sure.
It's ecologist.
Okay, I'm right. Um, let's see, what else was there to talk about? There was much to talk about this episode. Spike is pony. What else was it? Ah, yes. My major conspiracy theory about what Spike actually is. So, you thought I thought that Spike was actually a dragon? No, he's much more than that. But you're asking, why would I think that? Well, it's obvious. Spike came from an egg, which was in Equestria, which has apparently no other eggs, no history of studying dragons at all. So that means that a lone dragon egg must be a very, 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 very rare occurrence. And I'm not at all sure that the stars were aligned just right. No, I've got a much more sinister theory. So, as far as magical creatures go, dragons are pretty much the only competitors to ponies. So, that means there's obviously a need for some defense there. And from what we've seen in The Secret to My Excess, ponies aren't the best at fighting dragons. Spike just whipped the entirety of the Equestrian Air Force. Yeah. So, what's really needed is to fight fire with fire. That's right. Spike is the first in a long line of clone dragons used by Princess Celestia to fight the dragon hordes, thus explaining his lack of wings. She didn't quite get the entire spell right for creating a dragon. And the necessary energy to hash the egg and start the entirety of the spell was provided by Twilight. She speeded it up, but he snapped back because, that wasn't gonna last. You have to meet requirements before you can grow as a dragon. I imagine Princess Celestia will knock that off once she gets the full dragon cloning process up. Which means the ponies will have a huge war with the dragons. I'm betting on ponies here. Ponies seem to have the upper hand here. So, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say, We've got another thing in this episode. We get to experience a whole range of biomes. We've got snowy, slightly more slightly more foresty, deciduous forest than the Everfree forest. We also get mountains, the calderas, the volcano, uh, the wide plain, more rivers. We get to go through a lot of biomes here, which is most excellent. So, now comes for the next part of my. So, the next episode, Hurricane Fluttershy. The Fluttershy is trying to learn about how to help during the rainy season. So, what? If you've ever watched an episode, you know what's coming next. Yes, my Scootaloo theory. Now, just hear me out. It's obvious to me that the next episode, Fluttershy goes into a little training camp to be trained on how to do all the rain stuff. Okay? And who will be her classmate? Bunches of little tiny Pegasus. Which includes who? Scootaloo. So Scootaloo's her classmate. Since Fluttershy gets made fun of because she's so old, Scootaloo comes to her defense and tries to help her with her homework and stuff. But since Fluttershy is all not good at all this, Scootaloo's will be like, ah! And guess who's going to teach the class? Rainbow Dash, obviously. So, obviously, there's going to be. And the obvious plot, which will probably not actually happen, is that Fluttershy, throughout the whole episode, they'll be talking about some amazing weather event, which no pony has ever averted, natural disaster in Equestria, and then Fluttershy will totally avert a hurricane or something. That's the obvious plot. Not the right plot, particularly, but that's what it seems like. So, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed my crazy theories, whether or not you believe them. It's like watching Ancient Aliens. You may not enjoy the actual content of the show, but you can still sit back and laugh. You can be like, oh, that silly person. Or maybe you do actually enjoy the content of the show. Either way, this has been PlotPoints Crazy Theories, as you may call them. I don't think they're crazy. They're completely logical. They're not crazy. Not crazy. Call them. Bye.